I'm Mikayla. I'm in the Urban Resilience and Sustainability spec. So I was already living in Colorado for maybe 9 months at that point, and I found out about MENB the November before the January application was due. It's just a couple months before, and I had not wanted to go to grad school at all until I found this program. Like, it wasn't even on my radar. I was working full time. I was content. And I was working in the nonprofit field for a nonprofit that had to do with higher education with some sustainability woven in, and that's how I realized I was really passionate about sustainability, but I didn't feel like I was doing enough or as much as I wanted to do on a larger scale. And once I learned that's what I wanted to do, I realized, I probably need more education before I can do that, because my undergrad was anthropology and French, so not the best building blocks or something in this field. And so I knew I didn't want to leave Colorado. I knew I didn't really want to leave the Boulder area. So I think I literally Googled like sustainability master's programs in Colorado or even near me. And this one came up right away. So good marketing on MENB's part. And as I was reading it, just the more and more I was reading about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this program is meant for me. Because I really didn't really want to go back to grad school, mostly because I didn't want to have to do like years of research and then write a huge thesis. Like I'd had my fill of strictly academic writing, and then I was learning about how this was a professional master's program, so you don't do a thesis, you do a capstone project, and it just, my ears perked up. I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. I did an info session the April, no, not April, it must have been earlier, it must have been December. So I did an info session before the application was due, and I think Liz was actually one of the people doing them. And I just remember I left and I called my mom on the phone afterwards and I was like, Mom, I love it. I was like, every single question that was asked, they answered, and it was just green flags all around. Like, not one thing was a turn off for me. And it did help that they said there weren't that many tests, mostly just group projects, which is really cool. But yeah, I guess that's how I found out about it, just Google, which was very fortunate for me. And then just the more I learned about it, the more I wanted to go here. And it was the only grad program I applied to because my heart was just dead set on it. And I was like, if I don't get in, I guess I just won't go to grad school. So I'm very lucky. Yeah, so for the nonprofit that I was working for, it had a lot to do with, like I said, higher education, sustainability, some health stuff, but with a focus on low-income students. And that's when I was first kind of exposed to the inequities that a lot of lower-income communities face when it comes to, accessibility to sustainable practices and resources, and also health resources, things like that. And I guess urban equity was kind of the very general lens I put on all of this. And so as I was reading the different specs, I was torn between urban resilience and SOI. Sustainability in the outdoor industry, I couldn't even remember. Okay. But I was torn between those two because I am obviously very into the outdoors. But I liked how, I guess URS felt a little bit more general. So if I wasn't positive what position I might want to go into in the future, I felt like, or not just position, but business or industry even, I felt like URS gave me a little bit more wiggle room to find that out as I was taking the classes. So I knew it had to deal with, there's a lot of equity in URS, so we talked a lot about that. I also like that even though it's called urban resilience, it deals from everything from urban places to the ruralist of the rural. So I just liked that even though, it's it's narrowing of MENB in the sense that you're choosing one spec, it still felt pretty broad, so I liked that. Yeah, sure. So I am on the Batinsky capstone team. That is really fun so far, honestly. The title, I'm not going to remember the specific thing, but it's something about defining corporate social responsibility and sustainability positioning for Batinsky, so the new outdoor apparel and lifestyle company. They're based in Summit County, so right outside Breckenridge. And it's really cool so far. It's a startup, which is neat. And because they're in such the early phases of the startup, they're kind of trying to just define what sustainability means for their company. Like some other programs or companies, some other capstone projects might have, a bit of a foundation. Maybe they have a director of sustainability that people are working with. But Batinsky is so small and so new that they don't have that yet. And so we're kind of, looking into neighboring brands, other kind of like role models or exemplars that Batinsky looks up to, seeing what they're doing in terms of their corporate social responsibility, their sustainability efforts, and seeing what makes the most sense for Batinsky as they continue to produce their outdoor lifestyle apparel, and kind of how to balance, functionality or function with sustainability, which is really cool. And I also really like that the founder, Kelly, has she's placing a huge emphasis on not necessarily community development, but just community engagement, which I really like. But she really wants to make sure that community voices are heard as she kind of fleshes out this company. Her big picture goal is to eventually have a brick and mortar shop that can employ people living in the area and pay them enough so that they can continue living in the area. So I was drawn to this project because I spoke with her at the networking event about all this, especially and the big picture stuff. And as she was describing her goals for way down the line, even though the capstone deals with more immediate stuff, I just thought it would be so cool to work with a company in these early stages and kind of help better prepare them to be like the best company they can be years from now. And that goes for sustainability and also community benefit. I think the thing that comes to mind, I don't know if this is a sufficient answer, but Natalie's course last semester, Community Economic Development in the Outdoor Recreation Economy, I took that one as an elective because I knew I was interested in soy, even though I didn't choose that as my spec. But it was offered for me, and I knew it seemed like a really good foundational course to kind of help me decide if I was really interested in this kind of outdoor space, especially with smaller or just towns out in Colorado too. And throughout the semester, I just remember loving every single unit and being so invested in like every class, every speaker, every reading that we did, which is difficult to do, get someone excited about readings. But I just remember throughout that semester, I was like, this is so cool. This is something I could really be interested in. And I didn't even know that it was, I couldn't put a name to what it was until I took that class. And so now when I tell people what I'm interested in, I always talk about, sustainability, equity within sustainability, and also just community economic development with a sustainable lens placed on it too. So I think taking that course was pretty defining for me because it helped me put words to what it is I'm really interested in. Yeah, so I definitely, right now I'm not doing an internship or anything. I quit a former job of mine earlier this year, and I feel good about it. So in the meantime, I've kind of just been focusing a lot on classes and then substitute teaching here and there, which is really fun. But I'm starting to think, okay, so this is really fun. It's good for my schedule and all, but I'm getting the itch to do something that's more related to what I want to do. So I'm definitely going to start looking into internships. Specifically, I don't know. I guess I have to be a little flexible while I'm still in school with what it is I look for positions in. So lots of LinkedIn searching, networking, all that stuff. But yeah, so in terms of classes, checking off the still required course again. I'm going to take a transportation and mobility class, I think, which makes sense for me because my first semester of school here, I did a group project for one of the URS courses that was about revitalizing the Boulder bus system, and now my professor for that class, I have him for this semester too, he brings up that project in every single class we're in because my whole group just did a really good job and we made it really fun, and so I feel like now I have to do something more with transportation. So I guess I could look into that too. Okay, so I said that class with Natalie was really defining last semester and that helped me figure out what I want to do. But as this semester's gone on, I found that I'm enjoying a lot of other things as well. So my scope is broadening while I feel like it's also narrowing at the same time. So I guess that's good because it means I can look for opportunities within a bunch of different fields, whether it's local government or local transportation, Department of Transportation stuff. I also think the capstone project is really helpful for me because I've only ever worked for nonprofits, and now with the building community capacity course. I've worked with, I guess also local nonprofits in other regions, but this is giving me kind of a glimpse, my capstone's giving me a glimpse into what a for-profit experience is like, and so that'll help me, I think, in my search for either part-time positions or internships while I'm still here, because now I'll get a better sense of what working for a for-profit is like, if I like it, and if I do, what do I want to do within that. I feel like I just rambled a lot, but basically my plan for next semester, take some more really awesome courses. Predictably, I think I'm going to enjoy them all a lot, while looking for either an internship or a part-time position within either local government or probably local businesses as well. Yeah, so when it's nice out, not like it is today, I like to hike. This past season I got really into skiing, which is really exciting for me, because not only is it crazy fun and like this one of the best places you can do it, but this is my first full season ever skiing. I think before this winter I'd gone 3 times in my life, and those 3 times were just 2 years ago, and before that I hadn't done anything, partly because my family was just never really that into it, also partly because I had like really bad asthma growing up, and so I couldn't do a lot of athletic things. I did a lot of theater instead, which is really fun. I still, in my free time, I like to do a lot of musical things. But I think around age 20 is when I finally started to try to do a bit more exercise-oriented stuff, like whether it's going to the gym or just going on bigger hikes. And so when I first started skiing, I was really nervous because I didn't realize how much effort goes into, controlling your body. I'm just like, oh, you're on skis, you're going downhill, your body's chilling. But I don't know, just now, like, I'm doing blacks down mountains, which is just so cool and also really empowering. And every time I make it down a run, I'm like, take that, lungs. But so yeah, I've been skiing, which is really cool. Hiking is really fun. I love going to the farmer's market on weekends too, and I'm so excited it's finally time again. So those are the things I do in my free time that I'm probably most excited about right now. The first thing that popped into my head when you started saying that was just, and I guess this goes for whether you're applying to MENV, you're currently in MENV, applying for internships or, writing your cover letter for a capstone, but just like don't undersell yourself, because I think and I know a lot of people have a really large tendency to do that. And when I was applying to this program, I would talk to my friends and my family and be like, I don't know if I'm really qualified, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm here, and I feel like I've never fit in more, at least in an academic program or academic setting. I'm loving everything that I'm doing. I'm proud of the work I'm doing too. And I think all of that has told me to stop selling myself short, because I'm definitely capable of more than I give myself credit for a lot of the times if I made it here and I'm doing all this. And I think it's just a really important little mantra to keep in your head.